They're being given for free. So my meat supplier, well, it's a farm shop really, but I go and buy my meat there, and there's a few other things. And he buys all kinds of things throughout the year, things that are coming to the end of the day and all that kind of stuff. And he bought a load of this, and he said if he can't sell it, he's going to feed it to the animals. Well, feed it to the cows. So he gave me one for free. And he kind of, what he was wanting is wanting me to use it in the catering. And to be honest, I don't want to have to make bread rolls for people. Once you start, you can't not make them because they're generally nicer than the ones that you buy. And I don't want to give myself any work for like more work for the same money or even less money. Even though I've been given it for free, I'm still loath to make 50 bread rolls because that's just time that I just don't have. Oh well, it is time that I have. It's just I don't want to have to work more and put more effort into something that I'm not going to. When I can buy 50 bread rolls for about, I forget, what is it? Six for about 10 pence each. So I'm not going to do that. It's just not worth my time. So, but what I did think we'd do is we'll have a go at making some bread out of it, and we'll see how it turns out. And my sourdough starter needs feeding, and I've got quite a lot of sourdough starter in there. So it's about time that we use up some of the sourdough starter. So we'll use up some of the sourdough starter in this loaf that we're going to make from here, and we'll make a normal one just via the instructions, and then we'll make one with some sourdough starter in it. The sourdough starter should improve flavour. Now, when I make bread, it's just flour, salt, water, and yeast. Sourdough starter. But this stuff, wheat flour, dried yeast, wheat germ, dextrose, wheat fibre, vegetable oils, palm oil, rapeseed, well it's palm and rapeseed oil, salt, soya flour, calcium carbonate, wheat flour emulsifiers, flour treatment agents, on all that glucose and all that kind of stuff. So may contain eggs and milk. So that kind of looks pretty bad with the ingredients, but a lot of those things will be natural, and they aren't put in for nefarious reasons or to bulk something out. They're generally in there to improve its shelf life and to make it fast act. So normally when you make bread, let it rise, knock it back, form it into the shape, and then let it rise again, and then bake it. This stuff, it's just a case of you mix it. Oh, where's the ingredients? There we go. So we mix it. I'm going to do it by hand, and then what we call it, and then shape. That's me speed reading. And then what we call it, and then we just shape and what we call it, and let it double in size and then bake it. So there's no first kneading process. There's no knocking back first process. First knocking back. There's none of that. But anyway, I'm waffling. So let's have a look inside as well. It's best of both. So there's some brown flour in there as well, which is probably just a way of them using the stuff up that they don't want to sieve out. So that's not so bad. I don't really like making brown bread. I don't think it needs as well, and you have to adjust for water content and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we'll mix them up. We'll do a loaf's worth, and then we'll calculate how much sourdough starter we can add to it. It'll slightly change it because that is strong flour. This might not be strong flour. It might be flour with added gluten in it. It's like a base flour. It's like a plain flour that you make. See, I'm waffling. So what you can do is you can buy a plain flour like that that's used for making pastry, and you can add extra gluten to it to turn it into a bread flour. So that's what some of the ingredients might be in there. But anyway, so we'll mix up, we'll have a look, we'll get kind of like the ratios kind of right, and then we'll mix it first, and we'll see how wet the dough is, and then we can have a bit of a calculate how much sourdough starter we're going to add to it. So that's 400 grams worth of the mixture and 296 grams worth of water. Let's give it a quick mix around, and then we'll see what the consistency is like. and then we can know if we can just throw in some sourdough starter. Yeah, that doesn't feel very elastic. Like, water mixes into that a lot easier. It's kind of quite wet, isn't it? That's not like bread flour at all, that. That's kind of quite strange. Is that going to make a decent size loaf? I think that'll be about right, actually. So let's, that's 400 grams. We'll do 300 grams of the mixture and then top up with sourdough. No, that's probably too that I don't want to put too much sourdough starter in because that kind of changes it, doesn't it? No, because I need to use it up. So we'll do, for the sourdough one, we'll do 300 grams worth of the mixture, and then we'll top up to 400 grams using the sourdough starter, and then add water to kind of compensate for the liquid that's in the sourdough starter. I think be a bit of a calculation, a bit of a faff, but I'll work it out and then we'll be back. Right, so this is 300 grams of the mixture, 200 grams of my sourdough starter. My sourdough starter is half water, half flour. So then I have, so half the starter will be 100 grams worth of starter and 100 grams worth of water, 100 grams worth of flour in the starter and 100 grams worth of water. So therefore we just need to add 196 grams worth of water to that. Probably needs a little bit of salt because we've taken some of the mixture out. We don't need to add any salt to the mixture, and we've taken some of the mixture out. So it probably could do with a little bit of salt because we've substituted 100 grams worth of flour. But let's just give it a mix. But let's not get too technical or faff around too much. So let's, now I think the fast-acting yeast in this mixture will just overtake the sourdough starter, so it will just rise, whereas the sourdough starter would take a long time to rise. But I think it's a lot wetter. I think the fast-acting yeast will just kind of just kick into life. It smells a lot more yeasty. See, that's kind of quite wet, isn't it? So it could probably do with a bit more. Probably a bit more flour in there. But not to worry. Not to worry. We'll see how that goes. We will leave that for a bit. We'll need that one. Well, what I could have done is I could have just made 2 batches and then added some sourdough. No, this way's better. I'll have to knead twice, but I think this way will. See, I'm making a mess of my fingers. I need to turn my phone off now, don't I? Anyway, so we might add some more flour to that when we mix it, when we knead it, but we'll see. Have I got a clean finger? Yes. We have kneaded. This is the one that's just the mixture, and that's the one with the sourdough starter in it. I've had to add 50 more grams of the mixture to that because it was a little bit wet. So I have taken back out that 50 grams, so they now weigh about the same. So they weigh about 686 grams, something like that, which is about the right size for a loaf. So let's shape it and see how we go. Let me move this around this way and see if we can get a good shape out of this dough. It looks like it's wanting to raise already. It was kind of quite a wet dough. In all honesty, we'll see how we go. I thought it'd be a drier dough than it actually was, because I'm used to dealing with sourdough, but my sourdough's not that of a wet dough. So this is shaping of the dough, and what we're doing is we are pulling the outside of the dough, pushing it underneath, so it creates tension, and then that tension will be what makes the loaf explode when we give it a slice and we bake it in the oven. So we'll slice it, and because of the tension of the dough, it'll want to explode out when it cooks, and hopefully, don't always get it, we'll get that nice line that we get on the top of a sourdough. But we can do that with just normal bread. You know, we can shape it like this, create some tension, slice into it, and then bake it, and then we get that lovely sourdough look, but without the actual sourdough flavour. So sourdough's a bit of a faff. Well, no, it's not. It's not a faff. It takes time, but you're not needing for. It can take two days for a sourdough to be ready. but you're not kneading for 2 days. You're just leaving it in the fridge, you know, and letting it rise and letting it ferment, you know, naturally. The kneading and the shaping doesn't take any longer. Then look at me, out of breath. I've been out for a walk. That's my excuse. Went out for breakfast, then out for a walk. Cut my mum's grass, then went for a bit more of a walk, and then came home and had a snooze. So that's why I sound like I'm out of breath. So we've created tension. Hopefully it's not as springy as my sourdough. I'm thinking now that what I really should have done is I should have sifted out the brown bits of flour, the brown flour bits, because you know, I'm not a huge fan of brown bread. No, I am, but I'm not a fan of making it. So we need thing on top like that. But we should have just sifted it out. And then what we could have done is we could have had a like a slightly unhealthier loaf, but slightly easier to work with. So this is the sourdough one. I have made loaves bread before with fast acid. Did I say that? And used a bit of sourdough starter for flavour, and it worked out well. So same process again. This one's a little bit wetter, but we'll work with what we've got. I suppose this technique doesn't really work with really wet doughs. The rolling technique. That's why you fold over and create tension that way. But I can't do that. Well, I could. I could teach myself, couldn't I? But you know, I do enough stuff. And I think, mind you, there's always the danger in life that you kind of get to a level that you're happy with, and then you never kind of really progress past that level. So I think you should always push yourself a little bit more to get better. But there is that, you know, like I forgot what the ratio is, but you can do something. Is it like 80% effort? You know, the majority of the outcome comes with 80% of the work. So to kind of go above 80%, you're not going to get a product which is vastly better. You know, you can cut down on the amount of work and still get a product which is very good, and not burn yourself out by giving too much. You know, like 100% effort doesn't give you a product that's 100% better than a product that you spent 8% of the time on. Anyway, diminishing point of returns. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Although, do I ever really make sense? No. It's a nicer dough, but that's probably down to bread flour. So, and then like that, bit of flour on top, just to see. I don't know how well it's going to rise. But we'll see how well it rises. Put this on top, shower cap on top, because we don't like wasting plastic, and these pink and green shower caps are just very useful for that process. So we'll let those double in size, and then we'll bake them in the cast iron pot in the oven. Double in size. This is just the bread mixture one. So into the hot cast iron pot, and then slice down one side. Probably could do to be hotter this, but wasn't on quick enough. So that, and then load spray or water on the opposite side of the slice. Yeah, cast iron pot should be hotter, but it'll be fine. And then in the oven, 25 minutes, and we'll see what they're both like when we're done. That's 25 minutes. Let's have a look. The second one will probably turn out better because of the oven getting up to temperature, but that's alright. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. It's got that nice split in it. So, although it's a little overproved, to be honest. So that one can go in. Slice on the top. Blade, there's a new blade in that. And that, and then we'll look at them both later on. Let's have a look. So, that's just the bread mixture, and that's the one with the sourdough starter in. So I was thinking, while I was swimming, that obviously the yeast in those, it's got a shelf life, because over time the yeast won't work anymore. So I was kind of thinking, instead of just throwing it away, if the yeast no longer works in it, you can just use it as a flour and add your own yeast or your own sourdough starter, which that goes sure you can. So you could just use it as a flour instead of throwing it away. There you go, there's a solution, isn't there? So it's alright there. That's alright for a packet mix of loaf, of bread, of loaf. You can tell I'm hungry. So this is a sourdough. It's not really crispy, but you know, that's alright now. Have a smell. Sourdough one smells slightly better. We're going to put it. Let's just take off the end bit. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Oh. See. Well, let's taste the packet one first. It's alright. It's as good as the bread that you buy from the supermarket. It's, you know, if you were just to buy a loaf like that in the supermarket, it's as good as those. You know, but obviously you're making it at home, you're having fresh bread. How's the sourdough one taste? Nicer. And it's got a better texture to it as well. So, there we go. It's alright. It's alright. You know, but if you want to include the flavour of it, add some of your sourdough starter. In fact, that's what I would recommend if you didn't want to go through the hassle of making sourdough, because it's a bit of a process and you need fridge space and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to. You can just use fast-acting yeast and add a sourdough starter to it, and it will be ready in the time that the fast-acting yeast will have risen the bread. But you will have gained the flavour of some sourdough starter to it, which is what they do in France. They save back some of the dough from the day's baking. They don't cook it, and then they add that bit of dough to the next batch of dough the next day, because it improves the flavour. But anyway, so that's success.